All right, so welcome to Upgraded You podcast, and our guest is Fabian Foelsch. And then first of all, you're representing a company called Braineffect, right?
Yeah.
So could you introduce yourself a little bit? Who are you? And so this is a biohacker company, I guess.
Yeah.
So how did you start the whole company? So this is two questions right away.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's really a pleasure for me to being your part on a podcast and speaking about the favorite topic of myself, which is biohacking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a big thank you and high five for giving me the opportunity. So as you said, how should I introduce myself? I would probably tell you some names. So first of all, I'm a biohacker. I'm probably one of the biohacking advocates here in Germany, together with my fellow friend Max Gotzler, and making biohacking famous and popular, which is great. On the other side, as you said, I'm the founder of the mind nutrition company Braineffect. And with Braineffect, we have the vision to help people ensure that the daily nurturing of a focused, calm, and healthy mind becomes new normal. With food and with content. So we're really looking into food and supplements and are developing, building, and selling different products all around mind nutrition and brain food. And last but not least, I'm a dad. Yeah. So my daughter is 16 months old, and she's fabulous. But also, of course, she's challenging my sleep and challenging other stuff. So that's probably a great description of myself.
So I know that you are a so-called ex-athlete. So what is your background in sport?
Yeah, exactly. So 15 years ago, I was a professional athlete. I was doing athletics, and I was doing something typical German, which is throwing the discus. Yeah. So a typical German discipline. And, it's a podcast now, and people can imagine how I'm looking. But at least for an athlete and a discus, a person or competing discus, I'm probably not the tallest guy and also not the biggest guy. So therefore, Peter, I every time had the need and had to find strategies for myself in order to compete. So it was every time really important for me because, I don't have the physical power. I'm just like 185 compared to most of the other ones, which are being, 2 meters and so on. I every time had to find strategies for myself how to compete. And one of those strategies was that I was looking really early in my life. So at the age of 14, 15, I was looking together with my dad, who is a doctor, into fields such as nutrition. Now, can nutrition have a vast effect on your performance? And with that, I'm not just speaking about, muscle performance strength, but also in terms of recovery. How can nutrition affect your recovery? How can food and supplements affect your mindset, your concentration, when you're being there at the discus court and just competing on a national, international level? And I was also looking heavily into the field of mindset and into like what does a strength and calm mind it's all about, and like how to create a mindset which is actually lasting. Because the fun thing is, if you're competing at pro sports level, it's all the same. So everyone is training hard. Everyone is training for, let's say, over years for one event, such as Olympic Games. But at the end, it's just a few seconds, which actually counting, which making the difference between hearing and listening to your national anthem or not. And I came pretty easily to the conclusion that at the end, it's just the mind. And if I'm having the mindset, the right mindset to compete, and if I'm having the concentration, the capability, the resources to actually bring everything on the table in the couple of seconds, which I learned over a year. And that's pure mind play from my perspective.
So when I said ex-athlete, I said so-called ex-athlete, and I didn't try to be, impolite or anything. The reason I said because most people, after they finish competitions or the competitive period, or generally all the other people who never competed, they never see themselves as athletes, which in my opinion, it's a huge mistake, because I think we are all designed to be athletes. So how do you help to people to change this mindset and start to see them again as athletes? Because without that kind of thinking, I think most of the biohacker ideas will not just work.
Actually, that's a really good question, Peter. And what is coming to my mind here is probably a marketing phrase of Nike. So I think everyone knows Nike, the sport fashion and sport clothing equipment company. And I think one of their slogan is that they are part of just doing it, yeah, and that one of their mission is that they design clothes for all athletes in the world. And then they do the question mark, yeah, and have a small star in it, and they say, if you're having a body and a brain, then you're an athlete. And this, I mean, at some point, really summarize the point. So from my perspective, I'm completely in line with you. Everyone is an athlete in his way, because all of us, we have got, or hopefully have got, goals, objectives in our lives, which we want to reach. And if you're having a goal which you want to reach, at some point, you maybe think, okay, I mean, I'm competing in every kind of way. So I'm competing most of the time actually against myself, against my, my bad version of a Fabian, yeah, which is at some point being too tired because the little daughter just woke up 3 times at night, and I just like saying, okay, shit, how can I have the energy in the morning, yeah, to do my stuff? How can I have the energy to wake up at 6 o'clock, go to the CrossFit gym and CrossFit box or whatever? So at the end, I'm completely in line with you. I think we're all athletes in our own terms, and everyone who has got has got a body and has got a mind is an athlete, and everyone who has got a goal should probably also think a little bit more like an athlete, and in order to fulfill his goal or fulfill his dreams and fulfill his life objectives, and therefore hopefully also drive for happiness.
Now, you mentioned that you are a new dad, so I was quite, right away my brain was like, yeah, I have to talk about sleeping. I still remember. However, I have over the big kids, but still I can remember. So, but also as an ex-athlete, I mean, I've seen statistics. That was a study, and the study said like close to 70% of athletes having sleep issues before competition, which is, I mean, these are the best of the best, if you think about it, and still they cannot tame their own sleep habits. So first of all, what is your recommendation? Which is, some of them are probably product related, but that's fine, and some of them are just behavior related, I guess. So, and also in your specific position, when you have no other choice than waking up, I mean, you just cannot say like no. Now, what is your hack? How do you try to bring yourself back at the morning? Like, yeah, I still have to do these things.
Yeah. Yes, so definitely. I mean, many questions there. So probably let me try to answer them in a row. So first of all, definitely, I think on the one side, athletes understood the importance of sleep. For example, if you look into some of the best athletes in the world.
Wait a second. Do they?
Yeah, I think at least most of the athletes, especially, or maybe let me rephrase it. Most of the individual athletes, so which are competing on individual field, which are understanding the importance of recovery and cannot hide behind a team, they're definitely understanding the importance of sleep. So, for example, if you're looking into Roger Federer, tennis player, I think he sleeps around 11 hours. If you're looking into Tiger Woods, understanding his sleep, you understand that he says, okay, before competition, I really sleep a lot, so 10 to 11 hours, yeah? Even LeBron James, from my perspective, I mean, he's a team player, but still one of the greatest athletes in the world, from my perspective, really understands how important recovery and sleep is. And I think he sleeps really a lot. And I also know in Germany, a lot of especially athletes, in the field of track and field, discos, which are really caring about sleep and sleeping a lot, understanding the power of recovery. However, I'm also working together here in Germany with some of the football players, which are competing on a national level, and know some of the Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund stars, and so on. And surprisingly, the better a team sometimes is, and the higher the of talent is, which some of the players have, the less they are actually understanding how important sleep is, because sleep is also kind of an investment in the future. Because I mean, if you're 19 and if you're a big star, and you probably can just sleep 6 hours, go next day or to a game and still compete good. However, the likelihood that maybe you're being injured is higher, but definitely the likelihood that you're being injured when you're like 25, 28, 32 is increasing. So I think that's definitely one problem. However, compared to, I would say, the general population, athletes at least understand the importance of recovery, and that recovery should be part of the overall peak performance equation. Because at the end, growth never happens when you're competing, when you're stressed. Growth every time only happens during the recovery phase. So that's really important to understand. And then I think, Peter, your second question was, of course, how what I do in regard to sleep, and what kind of sleeping hacks I'm trying to use. And I mean, that's a really great question, because I consider myself, I would say, sleeping nerd, yeah, and I'm really into sleep. And I think we have both one thing in common, which would be my first hack, to actually evaluate your sleep, because I saw that I think I have an Oura ring, which you're wearing, and I'm also wearing an Oura ring. So I think one of the first hacks, if it comes to sleep, for me, is to understand the current sleep status quo, so the baseline. Because, for example, I'm having one client. He's it's actually one of my old consultant partner bosses, and he follows the general rule. So he sleeps 7 to 8 hours, which normally everyone says, okay, that's good. But then he's like really unsatisfied with his energy level. And then we got the Oura ring, looked into his sleep, and we understand what was extremely surprising for him. For me, it was like obvious that at the end, if it comes to sleep, it's not just about the quantity of hours you're putting in, but it's far more about the quality. Yeah, and his deep sleep was actually really, really tidy. So normally I recommend roughly 20% of the sleep should be deep sleeping phases, and he had just, I think, 5% deep sleep. So first of all, evaluating sleep and tracking it by Oura, by Whoop, by other gadgets and devices.
And even just asking the question, right? Like how do you sleep on a scale of 1 to 10, whatever?
1 to 10. I mean, the easiest and probably cheapest way is just having a sleeping diary, and you're filling it in, and you're waking up in the morning, feel 1 to 10, how am I feeling? And then you probably think, okay, today I'm feeling really great. What did I do? Well, I was actually going early to bed. I had no alcohol. I had no food. Great. And then probably the next day, it's Saturday. Yeah. So right now we're actually recording the podcast on a Friday. So maybe a lot of people going out today. Not going out Corona times, but at least having a couple of drinks and pints and whatever. And then you're writing it down and seeing, actually my sleep today in the morning, pretty bad. Maybe it was related to alcohol. Oh, seems to be an indication, seems to be a correlation behind it.
But see, what you say, in my opinion, is already assuming that people are so thoughtful about their life, meaning that they connecting dots, right? So most people do not connect the dots, but they think, and that is probably one of the mission for biohackers, because first teaching them the habit of connecting the dots, and then comes pretty much everything else, I think. Now, go ahead.
Yeah,
what do you think?
You're totally right. So I think your mission and my mission and the mission of many probably listeners, which are going out to their friends and speaking about that podcast and speaking about biohacking in general, is that we want to help people to understand their health and their performance, and we want to empower them. So really love the word of empowering, because you're taking your own body and you're having self-courage, and you're self-empowering yourself. And I think that's really important, but therefore, of course, you have to connect the dots. So biohacking is not the one magic pill, which you're getting and then everything is just brilliant, It's more about, getting information, understanding your own body, thinking about what is my objective. And of course, it takes time. I mean, it's also fun to get a better understanding about his body. But I think you're completely right. You have to connect the dots. You have to listen to those podcasts like yourself doing. I mean, with Braineffect doing and also on podcast. And I think that's a fundamentally important. And at the end, it's about self-empowerment.
Do you see in Germany, and I'm pretty sure regarding to biohacking, you guys are ahead of us a little bit. But do you see in Germany people start to understand that just taking the pill or just asking somebody what to do and just without any kind of thinking, just follow the advice is probably not taking us pretty far. So I have to somehow look for resources, look for information. I have to learn about my body, my behavior, because I am in charge. So do you see already it's starting to get there?
Yeah. I definitely see a kind of, self-empowerment movement behind it, and that it's all about also, I want to understand myself and my body better, and there's probably not, one magic pill. But I also understand that many people are drawn towards biohacking because they maybe want to have the one magic pill. So they're believing we are a supplement and food company, and are getting a lot of questions, Fabian, do we have got this one pill or this one bar or one drink, which really is like, modafinil, or which like Adderall or something really like help me. I was like, no, it's actually not. We are support. And the fun thing is, if you're taking good sleep together with, let's say, nootropics, which we're producing, and also with some other stuff, maybe from a 1-to-1, the equation or the result is not 2, but actually 3, because there's some synergies between like improving your sleep, and improving your nutrition, and therefore it also your productivity is improved. So that's on the one side the case. On the other side, of course, it's tough, and but I think most people being drawn to biohacking are luckily the ones which want to understand a little bit more, which want to understand about their body, which want to understand what they're doing. And especially during COVID, my personal perception is that COVID in general is accelerating the process, because most people understanding that the most important part of our life is probably our health. And that, I can earn as much money as I want. If I'm going to die in the next couple of years, why do I need the money? And therefore, I think most people also understanding how important health is, and that health at some point is not just something where you should care about it if it's too late, or if you're being sick, you're going to doctor and he's making you well, but rather it's about prevention. It's about prevention. It's about long-term prevention, and actually it's about an investment in yourself. And so therefore, I'm seeing a big change there.
Why the brain?
Why the brain? Good question. So I believe that we moving into a new society, and I like to call the society kind of new society, because 50 years ago, for example, my grandparents, they worked as a farmer, so they worked on the field, they did physical work, and for them, the physical body was actually the main source of their income. And it was all about, going out to the fields, like harvesting and the crops and so on. But today, I guess you, Peter, but definitely also most of the people listening, we are brain workers, we are mind workers. So we're using our mind. And also our society is moving with robots on the one side, replacing ordinary physical jobs every time, or every month and every year, one step further into kind of a new society. But if you look into the nutrition, as we have it today, the mainstream nutrition, it was developed back in the 1950s of the last century. After World War II, it was developed for all the physical workers, and was not developed for the mind workers. And with Braineffect, we want to change that one, because we believe that nutrition, as we have it today, has not the right ingredients for brain workers, for mind workers. It is full of sugar. It lacks definitely quality, and we want to change that one. We want to create supplements, with create snacks, with create nutrition itself. We want to have all the right ingredients for brain functionality, such as concentration, such as sleep, such as energy, and also mental well-being, and want to provide people with the best ingredients there. And that's kind of our mission and vision. And I believe that at some point mind nutrition will be as big than functional nutrition for sports or fitness nutrition is right now.
So let's say somebody has a focus problem daytime. So somebody who's a manager probably would like to focus, make better decisions, be faster daytime. So the first natural way of thinking would be, give me something for my focus. Give me some pills, drops, spray, whatever. But would that be better to step back and say, well, first of all, let us check your sleep. Probably you're not focused because you're not sleeping very well. And you're not sleeping very well because you're not moving at all. I don't know, just saying a few things. So probably we have to make a lot more steps back, analyzing the whole thing. And probably at that point, when we see a gap, then we say okay, so probably, let's say melatonin, I'm just saying again something, that probably that would help to make sure that the depth of your sleep will be more optimal, because we know you are only 5% in your entry and not 10%. So how do you recommend your product in this case? And again, which product would you recommend?
Yeah, definitely good question. It brings me also to the sleeping question, where I'm still owe you a couple of hacks. So I think, Peter, you said something pretty smart, and which is really important. So at the end, the beautiness of biohacking, from my perspective, is that we as biohackers and we as biohacking coaches, looking at the body and at the mind from a holistic perspective. And if you're being, if you're having a lack in some field, it doesn't mean that, the lever are also in that field, but it can be that, for example, as you said, the lack of sleep is the reason why you cannot concentrate during the day. Or that the stress which you're having on the day is the reason why you're sleeping bad during the night. Yeah, cortisol too high, melatonin inhibit, and so on. So therefore, what I'm doing normally in my coaching, and having the privilege to like on the side, next to being like the founder of Braineffect and managing Braineffect, the CEO, I have a couple of coaching clients. The first step which I'm normally doing is that I'm looking into all the factors such as sleep, stress level, exercise, nutrition, and productivity/work, and try to understand what is actually the base level by looking into DNA, looking into hormone levels, looking into blood levels, but also sometimes doing just a questionnaire and asking them, how are you feeling? Can you concentrate at work, and so on. And then most of the time something's happening, what you said. I think sleep is one of the biggest challenges, where especially most of the managers, they grew up with kind of the idea that the coolest guy or the coolest girl in the room is the one which sleeps less. Yeah. So
exactly.
I'm sleeping 6 hours only and waking up 4 o'clock in the morning and still being a manager. And you're thinking, okay, wow, these people are just like amazing. Yeah? I'm going to respect them. But at the end, if you're looking into the data, you're realizing that a lack of sleep in the long run is definitely increasing your likelihood of getting all the bad disease, such as cancer, stroke, Alzheimer, but also it's definitely reducing concentration levels. It's reducing the ability to think creative. And I think the funniest study has been done in the UK, where they compared that a lack of sleep for 17 hours, so working 17 hours straight, is comparable to drinking 2 pints of beer. Yeah, so you do having the same decision making if you don't sleep for a couple of like one day, compared if you had like 2 to 3 pints of beer. And I think
it had to be some German research, right? Because of the beer.
It was actually from the UK, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Great Britain. But yeah, to come back to your question, so I definitely, we would look in sleep. So what are the sleeping hacks and improvements? First of all, we said already, you should measure your sleep. And second, then, if you're feeling a lack of sleep, let me give you probably like 3 hacks. One hack, one additional hack, so would be hack number 2 then, and will be really care about your environment, because most of the people, especially managers, traveling around, yeah, they're sleeping in different hotel rooms, yeah, sometimes it's dark, sometimes not, yeah, sometimes it's warm, sometimes not. So really, I tell them, care about your sleeping environment. And normally we should sleep as dark as possible, which is important, because darkness or like light in general affects the melatonin production. Secondly, we should sleep as so not loud enough here, so there should be no noise around, so it should be as silent as possible,
Sure.
which is really important. And last but not least, the average or perfect sleeping temperature is roughly around 18 degrees. So that's something. So therefore, some of the managers which I'm supporting and coaching, they're every time having their sleeping glasses with them, they're having earplugs, and they also ensure that if they're traveling around in hotels, of course being at home, an optimal temperature 18 degrees, putting them in the aircon on.
So and those who are traveling, those who are not traveling doesn't even know that. Almost nobody traveling right now, but whatever. Yeah. So, but if you are going to a hotel, seriously, when you close everything and then you notice how many small things are blinking in the room, right?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and this brings me to the next thing. So I'm a big fan, of blue light blocking glasses, especially, for all the managers, because managers tend to work then late, being at home or being at like, if you're having a business trip. And normally then most of the answers, but I'm using the Apple night shift, But then there's actually a nice study of the MIT, so the American elite university, showing that yes, the night shift works, but it doesn't work as good enough. So for example, still, if you're using the night shift, there's still some melatonin production actually being inhibited. So you don't get all the good melatonin production which your body has. So therefore, I'm really recommending, the blue light blocking glasses, because, Peter, all the lights which we have in a screen, which you have like in a hotel room, which you have at home, these blue light in it, it's affecting our sleep negatively. And of course, we want to prevent that, want to get a good night's sleep. And last but not least, of course, especially for the days when we're really stressed, because, there's something going on in our life. Or, what was your first question, if you're just having, a beautiful, amazing, loving daughter, which doesn't want to sleep at night, and you don't getting the good sleep, I really recommend, of course, to take supplements, So, for example, I'm every time using 3 supplements, recommending 3 supplements. So, in general, I'm starting, if people are having issues with some magnesium, and I'm looking also into magnesium biglycinate. So that is a typical magnesium form bind on amino acid, which is also like helping the body to come a little bit more down. That's the one thing, taking roughly 300 milligrams before sleep. Then the second step would be looking into like a melatonin supplementation. And the problem with melatonin is that 90% of the melatonin products, like globally, are dosed too high. So there's a meta study I get from the MIT, from a sleeping professor, and he's probably one of the most prestigious researchers around the globe, Professor Wortman, and he showed that the microdosing of melatonin is the most effective one. And microdosing means 0.3 milligram to 1 milligram of melatonin, helping you on a daily level that your body gets actually the natural melatonin it needs. So our bodies are producing melatonin, the sleeping hormone, which is important for your sleep and sleeping quality, on a certain level. Unfortunately, due to our Western society issues, and we spoke about it, stress, alcohol, caffeine, blue light, our body is not reaching this typical melatonin level which it deserves and needs for a good night's sleep. And then, just like bridging the gap between your level, which you're having probably during the night, and your optimal level, which you would have, let's say, if you were going to a holiday and you are going to with a tent outside in the Hungarian fantastic forest, you just want to like bring the delta close, and want to just like bridge the gap there. And therefore, using melatonin, and we developed, for example, a melatonin spray for it, where you can microdose melatonin. It's the best way for it. And that is, my second supplement hack. And then if that's not enough, because I'm, so busy and mind is racing and so on, I'm using CBD. So I'm a big CBD fan. And these are also like the reason why we develop products for it, because I'm constantly using it, and it helps me, it helps my clients, and therefore it helps, of course, all of the thousands and 10,000 of customers which we're having. So again, magnesium as a start, then secondly, melatonin, even possible in a microdosing form, such as a spray, for example, and then CBD. And that's the reason why we produce the products also by Braineffect.
Mm-hmm. So before you guys are putting a product on the market, how many times it's happening that you have a challenge in your life, and since this is the best time to figure out what is the solution, because that's your pain, so you have to somehow find a solution. So there you go, 6 months later, there's a new product which solves your problem. So is that typical or really atypical?
No, I mean, that's actually typical. I mean, it's not the only source, of course, but it was definitely the source for the first product. So we have, Peter, around, I think around roughly now 35 to 40 products in our portfolio, all in the 4 categories: sleep, focus, mental well-being, and mental energy. And I think the first probably 10 to 15 products were mainly developed there because I needed them.
Of course. No,
and I mean, I'm still our best client. I'm testing all the products. But of course, now we also take, we have a fantastic product team. So on our product team working only, I think, 12 to 15 people having PhDs, in neurobiology, biochemistry, and so on. So, of course, they're coming up with a lot of great ideas as well. But I think, like, being a biohacker and experience probably really deep in my body, in my mind, the the necessity for some of the products also is really important for product development phase, because at the end, if I'm still our best customer, and that also is of course great. And I'm also getting from people like you, from podcast, all the feedback, and this is of course something what I'm bringing also in our product development stage. So at the end, it's my personal opinion, it's the opinion of our customers or partners, and of course it's our team which using studies, data, and the personal experience.
How many hours you are trying to allocate to, let's say, studying, reading researches, talking to experts? Because if you're not doing probably for a couple of days, you feel like you're left out, which is true in this field.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
how many hours approximately?
I have to differentiate there a little bit between what I'm doing for my personal life in terms of self-improvement, biohacking, and what I'm doing probably just for work-oriented stuff, which is of course a little bit connected, but still a little bit different. So I think in my personal time, so I try to include it in my morning routine. So my morning routine looks like that. I'm waking up. Luckily, I don't need an alarm clock anymore. At some point, if it's not working, I'm still having my daughter, which is then my second alarm. So she's the snoozing button, so to say. And then normally the first thing in the morning, what I'm doing, I'm taking a cold shower, and taking some of my supplements, and then I'm bringing my little daughter to the kindergarten. And afterwards, I'm trying to allocate roughly 35 to 40 minutes for reading, for studies, can be listening to a podcast, can be also some book which I'm reading. I'm having my bulletproof coffee there, my Braineffect vitamin D, and then really try to have an earthing mat, being there, being sometimes in an environment in the summer even, and trying to study. So it's around 45 minutes, I would say, per day, looking sometimes really into scientific studies. Sometimes it's just reading a book or a nice TED talk or podcast such as yourself. And that's really important. And in the company perspective, of course, we're having a team which is constantly screening studies, working on it, and providing me with abstracts. And we have, I think, once per week, we have a product development meeting, and where we're looking into new trends and biohacking, new partner opportunities, but also into new scientific papers which just came out. But luckily, this is summarized already by the team for me.
Okay, the reason I ask, because many times I talk to biohackers and they say, yeah, I started to read these researches, and 6 hours later, I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, what am I doing right now? Because you open one door, then opens another 3 doors, then
Exactly.
you step in, and it just suddenly 6 hours later, you're like, what the hell did I do all day long?
Yeah,
so
I can see myself on the weekend sometimes doing it, but I have to admit, during the day, I'm right now having so many appointments, meetings, and different stuff. And also, I also want to care about my routine, doing a little bit of exercise, spending time with my little one. So at the end, the day is full, and I really have to get as much done in a quick amount of time. But I believe that having a certain, time allocated to personal development on a daily level, being it maybe even only 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, whatever, it's really important, because we tend to really underestimate the importance of routines in the long run. Because if you're just spending 10 minutes, and it sounds like nothing, but if you would spend 10 minutes every day in your life for just personal development, gosh, that is just amazing what would happen to you. So I'm a big fan of these kind of marginal gain approach and idea.
So you are a supplement company. However, in this modern age, probably you are just as much as an educational company. So how much of a challenge of this? It's not enough to take or put out a wonderful product, which and your scientists know it's great product, but then you have to start from the scratch and starting to teach the clients to show the real benefits, how it's changing their life. So how do you see that this change?
Actually, I would consider ourselves as a product-related media company. So you're saying that something completely right, Peter. And for us, it's even more important, because biohacking is new, but still, the category of mind nutrition, brain food, is even more unknown for the general population. So our biggest job is to actually educate the customer and tell them that, for all the great areas out there where we're having products for, and which are definitely society problems. So, for example, there's a new study in Germany being out that 80% of all German workers are unsatisfied with their sleep. There's another study out that 1/3 of all European people think, and it's kind of crazy, think that they having a burnout or are near burnout because of stress in their work life. 1/3. But I think a fraction of those only understands that there's a nutritional component of all these challenges, and that they can like not cure all problems, but at least support these problems by nutrition, by supplementation, and so on. So definitely educating the customer is one of our biggest challenges, but I think also of our key strengths. And I spoke with you about the vision of Braineffect at the beginning. Our vision at Braineffect is to ensure that the daily nurturing of a focused, calm, and healthy mind becomes new normal. With nurturing, I'm not just meaning great products. I'm meaning also nurturing the mind, providing content with our podcast. All of our products are being combined with a digital coach. For example, Eddie, if you're getting right now, unfortunately, only in German, but the English version comes in 2 months. So all of our products, if you get, for example, a sleeping spray, it's combined with a digital coach where you can download an app, and this app helps you over 30 days, and coach you how to improve your sleep. So it tells you, all the hacks about sleep. It tells you just what I explained to you and how your environment should look like and so on, how to use the product, of course. So therefore, I believe that educating the customer is highly important, and therefore I'm also considering ourselves, as a product-driven media company, because at the end, if you design the coolest products, and people don't understand it, and then you cannot create this effect in society which we aim for. So therefore, highly important.
So basically, we just had launched a new group for over 40 people today, which is quite of a challenge right now, because in 4 hours we had 1,000 signups. So it's getting crazy.
Wow!
But
congratulations.
But what was very funny, thank you, very funny as a question, general question from people, is when they log into that group. It's a Facebook group. The number one question is, what am I supposed to do? And then comes the question like, because of my sleep, because of my weight loss and everything. And I just ask them like, so we can give you some template. That's not the question, but aren't you interested on the why? Why should I do what I do? Because in the last whatever years, everybody told you what to do, and you have no success. So probably instead of focusing on the what, let's focus on the why a little bit. And I'm not trying to be Simon Sinek right here, but you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So when you educate, what is your focus? You're focusing on the why mostly, because quite frankly, most likely the what is known already, right? Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends, I think, on which kind of stage you are in your education. So you have got people which coming to your website, which listening to your podcast on purpose, because I think, okay, I know the what, so I know that I'm sleeping bad, or I'm not good at some point, I mean, I want to lose weight, or I want to improve my nutrition, want to be more healthy, and they just like don't understand the why behind it. Why is it not working? Why am I not sleeping great? But I think these already are the people which are probably, I mean, if you see it, as a funnel, which are probably at the second part, a second layer already, because they know that they're having an issue. And for these people, I think the why is highly important. We try to really also communicate the why there and try to provide them with more information, how sleep works, why, sleep is not all about, quantity, it's also about the quality, how to improve it and so on. However, I think also for us biohackers in general, for someone who wants to create a change in society, it's also important, to attract and speak with those people there at the top layer, the top part of the funnel, which are just unsatisfied, and they don't know even the what. They don't know even. Yes. They just say, I'm not feeling good. So what is wrong right now with me? Is it normal? And these are some, I think, the ones where we try to like push message to them, target them maybe over performance marketing channels, do a branding campaign, just tell them, okay, you're feeling probably not good right now. That's normal, because most people just having mental challenges during the lockdown. And if you come to our website, we can tell you what's the problem behind it and why this is completely normal, but also what you can do against it. So I think at the end, it's a combination of both, but I completely align with you. I agree with you in a way that I think the why is more important, because the why is like creating long-term changes, and again, not driving for the magic pill.
So what can you do, and what your company can do for the healthy brain?
Yeah. So as I said, I think we have these kind of 4 pillars, and if we're speaking about, I like to call it a healthy mind, or a healthy, calm, and focused mind. I think we are operating and looking at these 4 pillars. The first pillar is, of course, we spoke about it. It's that a healthy mind and a focused and calm mind starts with a good night's sleep, good recovery. So therefore, we're offering products all around, recovery, such as our melatonin spray, such as our products. We have a good night shake, which is, a kind of a meal replacement with functional ingredients, help you if you're traveling around or if you don't want to cook during the evening. So that's one pillar. The second one is probably the most obvious one, which is concentration. It's all about nootropics. It's all about, bars. It's about drinks. It's about, pills which help you to concentrate a little bit more. And we're using their vitamins, we're using minerals, but we use most of the time also really active herb ingredients such as ginseng, such as brahmi, also such as alpha GPC and so on. So which showed in medical studies that they really can enhance cognitive functionality and help us to know and help us to be a little bit more productive. And at the end, for me, it's every time important that we're kind of an upgrade. So we're not the magic pill, but we're the upgrade. For in the days where you need a certain amount of focus, or an upgrade to your normal nutrition if you want to achieve greater things in life and if you want to be more concentrated. So that's the second pillar. The third pillar is the energy pillar. And this energy pillar, we're looking into, what fuels actually our body, what fuels our mitochondria, what fuels our brain, in a way. And of course, if you're coming there, it's about most of the time sugar reduction. So we're having MCT oil, coconut-based C8. We developed MCT powders, which are all, which you can use for baking. You can use them, of course, in a drink. You can do your bulletproof coffee in the morning. So it's all about how can I fuel myself? How can I provide my brain with energy? But still, balance the blood sugar level so that I don't get these kind of concentration crashes, which are bad in the short run, but which are really bad in the long run, for your mind if it comes to Alzheimer and all the stuff, and health prevention of the brain. And last but not least, we're looking into mental well-being. And mental well-being is, I think, a really interesting category because for us, it's also one of the most growing categories because mental well-being right now is challenged a lot, during the pandemic.
Yes.
Because we're not going out, so there's no vitamin D. We're having, problems because we don't have, enough personal contacts anymore. There's not enough exercise. So we're just missing a lot of stuff. And therefore, we're really looking into that space, and it's all about, having products for providing people with essential amino acids, with superfoods, such as our product Mooch, which is one of the top sellers. But also, interesting-wise, from my perspective, mental well-being is not starting in the brain; it's actually starting in your gut. So it's starting in your gut, and that means without a healthy gut, you cannot produce, or your body cannot produce all the serotonin. And interesting wise, everything is absorbed in your gut, and most of the serotonin is also produced there. So we're also looking into gut health and really try to connect the dots there. And that is kind of our product range combined again with digital coaching, with also the possibility to evaluate, your levels, your blood vitamin levels with some of the partners, and that's what we're doing.
That's great. That's great. No, I really thank you. You believe it or not, we almost reached 50 minutes.
Wow.
In this podcast. So if you agree, let's do this. I mean, we can move forward with this in the next one. Why not?
Yeah.
Because we already got so much information about these specific hacks. So I would say I really appreciate that you kind of showed how you hack your own life. That's number one.
Yeah.
And also helping to others how to make small or big adjustments with or without supplements. So I'm really thankful for that, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Peter. It was definitely a pleasure. Yes, and I'm being happy and open, of course, to share some more of my hacks at a different episode. And maybe a last point from my part, because
Sure.
normally I'm giving every time the feedback of people, Fabian, also from your podcast, Peter, Fabian, you shared so many great insights and hacks, or probably 10 to 15 hacks. But where should I start? And it feels so big, yeah. And you're doing this already for days. And I mean, Peter, just look at you. You're looking good and healthy, yeah. And so how should I start with it, yeah? And my personal belief is just like pick out one thing. So what would like to invite everyone who's listening to it and is not already like pro biohacker to just pick probably one of the hacks which we just like spoke about, being it maybe something that doesn't cost money, or being one product, yeah, and just try to stick for 30 days to it and try to understand how you feel before, what it did to you, and really start to try to start small, because at the end, that's the beauty of biohacking. If you're doing it once, you actually experience a change, which motivates you to probably at some point create a second hack into your life and bring a third hack into your life. And then, your whole life is changing, but you just have to start. So therefore, just an invitation, start small with one small incremental change, and the end will follow.
Great. So again, I really appreciate your time. Have a nice weekend. And I'm looking forward to hear about you the next time. So that will be part 2.
Thank you, Peter. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is mine. Bye.